Hi, Dr. Minichetti here, unedited and unvarnished. And as we begin to go a little deeper into this module on epistemology, I'd like to point out there's a war on science. This ongoing war is not because the findings of science are wrong or incorrect information is being presented to the public, but because many people in the public just don't like the findings. They don't like what they see as challenges to their long-held beliefs and biases, deeply entrenched ideological prejudices, or traditions being somehow upset by new findings. This war on science isn't exclusive to climate change or issues of evolution, but to archaeology as well. The go-to tactics of those who are arguing against science, and politicians in particular, are misinformation, sowing the seeds of doubt, outright lies, and their own fabrications of, since they don't actually have any evidence that would refute or counter the findings of scientific research. This is an ideological war more than it is one evidentiary-based scientific conflict. I wish I could say that this was something of the past, but it's actually not a new phenomenon. It's ongoing. It's ongoing. But that said, let me point out also that science opened the door to this type of doubt itself. And the example that was most often presented is the Piltdown Man hoax from more than 100 years ago, just a little over 100 years ago now, where prestigious authoritative figures in physical anthropology made a pronouncement of some findings of a missing link, as it was called by the press, that just seemed too good to be true. And 40 years later, when new research techniques, new dating methods were developed and applied to the remains of the Piltdown skeleton, it was found to be a hoax. This caused very real damage in the physical anthropology, but it spilled over into other areas of science, even as science was professionalizing. And while the Piltdown hoax is an example of fraud from within the sciences, archaeology often has to deal with external fraud. People inventing artifacts, planting them on archaeological sites, creating fake Egyptian artifacts and putting them in Native American burial grounds, or carving rune stones and planting them in a farmer's field in Minnesota to prove that the Vikings had been as far as regions of Minnesota and Wisconsin 1,000 years ago. So we have to deal with these kinds of frauds all of the time. I'd like to point out that as you're reading in units 1.1 and 1.2, we're looking at some historical examples, but there are some current examples as well that are causing some degree of harm in archaeology. As you're doing your readings, and as we go through this unit, I want you to ask yourself just a couple of questions. Could such a fraud succeed today? And in what ways does the Piltdown Man hoax provide evidence of the self-correcting nature of science? So until our next brief video, keep up with your readings, and I'll see you again soon.